We'll tell you why. Coming up, stay with us. Issuing a stern warning to Chairman Jerry Nadler and House Democrats. The DOJ threatening executive privilege and urging them to delay today's contempt proceedings for Attorney General Bill Barr. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler came back saying that the proceedings are still on. House Judiciary Committee member Jamie Raskin adding the proceedings are ready to go. Watch this.
We are set to have our hearing on the contempt of the Attorney General and not turning over the unredacted, uncensored report. The resolution would be a finding that the Attorney General is in contempt by not turning over to Congress for the American people the unredacted, uncensored report. From the Judiciary Committee, it would go to the floor of the House of Representatives, and at that point, the House would vote. The last time we voted on it was 420-0 that the administration needed to turn over the unredacted report.
Joining me now is GOP strategist Ken Chase. Ken, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. Just to be clear, as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler can look at the report unredacted in its entirety right now, correct?
Absolutely. Good morning, Maria. You're absolutely right. Every member of Congress has access to the unredacted report. The only purpose in asking for the unredacted report on the floor of the House or of the Senate is to leak it. And there are very good reasons why it shouldn't be leaked.
I want to point something out. Jerry Nadler is essentially in trying to force the Attorney General to hand over the underlying documentation, like the grand jury testimony, is trying to force the Attorney General to
break the law,
to violate the law. Bill McGurn wrote something very interesting about this contempt effort by Jerry Nadler and his cronies among the Democrats, that during the Fast and Furious scandal, when Eric Holder was found in contempt, it took 255 days between the issue of that subpoena and then the vote on contempt, again, not turning over information and documents. This, if they move on this today, it would be only 19 days. By the way, Eric Holder held in contempt, both criminal by the Republicans and civil by the Democrats, served almost 3 years after he was held in contempt. So Bill Barr ain't going anywhere.
No, he's not going. That's a good point. He's not going anywhere. And this whole exercise is to bully Bill Barr into stopping what we know is taking place right now.
Well,
and that is an investigation into how the investigation into Trump started.
And they know the odds of them stopping it are almost nil. But what they're trying to do is discredit the guy, throw up enough smoke and make it seem like he's just a patsy, a guy who's just shilling for Trump in a very unsavory way, and discredit it from the get-go because they know what's coming.
Yeah, meanwhile, it's so rich knowing what we've just seen in the last 2 years. For 2 years, the Intel Committee, run by Devin Nunes, and the Oversight Committee, run by Trey Gowdy, and the Judiciary Committee, all were asking for documents from the FBI for 2 years. And the FBI sat on the documents. They didn't want a spotlight on what took place in the 2016 election. Your thoughts, Governor?
Well, it's political theater, pure and simple. And Ken, I think one of the most important points, and you made it a moment ago, none of the Democrats have gone to look at this stuff. Not one of them. Not one single Democrat has gone to look at it. So it's not that they really care about what's in the documents. This is all for show in order to try to say that Bill Barr has not been honest. And Steve Forbes was right on target that this is about trying to discredit him because he's made it clear he is going to look at where all this stuff started.
So the question is it going to work? Let's talk about 2020, because President Trump held a rally is holding a rally tonight in Panama City, Florida. Former Vice President Joe Biden is holding a fundraising event in Beverly Hills. Tickets are reported to cost $2,000 apiece. Now, when you look at female donors, President Trump is leading the pack, actually. In the first quarter of 2019, more than 10,000 women donated to the Trump re-election campaign. That's more than any 2020 Democratic candidate. Ken, your reaction to all of this headed into 2020?
Well, there are so many Democrat candidates at this point that it's a gaggle, and it's not going to, the field's not going to clear. The Democrats are governed by the blue meat that the base wants, and it is a race to the left. And that is going to be very far from what the American people want. And that's going to play out as 2020 approaches.
Ken, Steve Forbes, a quick question. Why don't the Republicans go on offense and charge Mueller with cover-up? He had this broad investigation. Why didn't he examine how this whole collusion story arose in the first place? What was he trying to cover up? Why don't we go on offense on that? Ask the hard question.
Yep.
What did they know and when did they know?
Exactly right. And when did he know that there was no collusion? How come he sat on that going into the midterm elections?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Ken.
That's an excellent question. And Bob Mueller, I think he was looking at the commission that was given to him by Rosenstein. What Barr is doing and what the Democrats are so concerned about with regard to Barr is that Barr is not marching according to the beat of the drummer that they want him to be. He is going to look at the origins of this, the FBI running amok before the president took control of it. There was apparently an investigation into the president for collusion and obstruction. He was being investigated by his own executive branch 8 ways to Sunday.
Yeah.
There does need to be some questions asked.
Yeah, well, we are certainly looking at those questions, not just the AG, but Lindsey Graham in the Senate, as well as Michael Horowitz in the IG report, which is going to be out within a month. So this continues. Ken, good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
Ken Chase there joining us. Coming up, a law